Today we're going to be talking about the 1973 Spanish thriller, The Corruption of Chris Miller. If you ask me though, this movie is a giallo. Did you like my poem? Okay, so this is, again, another You Pick, I Watch movie. So this was chosen by the King of Doom, aka Ursula, because we had a watch party in the Discord and they showed this movie and I missed that night. So I didn't get to see Corruption of Chris Miller. So now I have been forced to. Just to give you a little bit of an idea of what kind of film we're working with here, this is a giallo or giallo adjacent. So let us dive on in. Of course, I am not going to spoil the ending. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but I'm going to tell you some of the stuff that happens because for the first half of the movie, there's not too much happening and then some good stuff happens. Okay, but then I won't tell you the end part. Okay, oh, and I guess I should also start by saying I like this movie, so this is going to be a good review. The Corruption of Chris Miller was directed by Juan Antonio Bardem. Here is your synopsis. A stepmom and stepdaughter live together in a large and remote estate in Spain. The father of the family has abandoned them, though the women believe he will one day return. Suddenly, a young and handsome drifter shows up on the property, adding even more tension to the household. So, I think Vinegar Syndrome has released this, but I watched a YouTube upload. It was about a 3-week-old upload at the time, and it was by some user who had vegan in their username. And when I played this video, this person had inserted their own commercial breaks, and it was all very graphic footage of animal abuse. I was like, this has nothing to do with the movie, okay? This is what the uploader did. So I had to fast forward through that stuff. It was bloody. It was bad. But you don't want to report them because you want to be able to watch that movie. I don't know. It just seems like that's a really negative and intense way to share your beliefs. Anyway, so this film is really, really fun. We have this stepmom who reminds me of Dagmar. Hold on, what is her name? Jean Seberg. She looks really familiar, but I guess I haven't seen any of her other movies, but she was wonderful. And then we have this girl named Marisol playing the stepdaughter, and she was also fantastic. She had a very interesting look. And funnily enough, the way that Marisol plays Chris Miller, by the way. So the way that Chris Miller behaves, she has these emotional outbursts. She's kind of rude. She doesn't really have manners, right? She reminded me a lot of Ursula in The Sister of Ursula. So I kept wanting to call her Ursula this whole time. But no, this is Chris Miller, okay? And so she's the one who's being corrupted. And then we have this guy, Barry Stokes, who is playing the drifter. Why does Barry Stokes sound so familiar? I don't think I've seen any of the other movies he's been in, but he was really nice. He was just very charming, had a good look to him. I liked him. So this mother and stepdaughter they're tense. It's a weird situation. The two of them living together without that father to be the thing that joins them together. So they have a very odd relationship. And then one day this drifter is found in their barn in the morning. And it's funny because his name is Barney. And I'm like, is he named Barney because they found him in a barn? But just watching how things unfold, how he is able to charm, what's the mom's name? Ruth. How he is able to charm Ruth and get in good graces with this family was so interesting. And yet at the same time, he had suspicious moments. But everyone had suspicious moments in this film. So you're not exactly sure who is a good guy and who is a bad guy. So it's really fun trying to like suss everybody out. This first stretch of the film, just involving Ruth, Chris, and Barney, is really interesting. It reminded me a lot of Orgasmo. Oh yeah, it was also kind of like, it was like Blue Eyes with a Broken Doll too. Like same sort of like setup. You know, what is it with people just taking in Handsome Drifters? Even though you could say it was sort of slow moving and you're not sure where we're going, it was very fascinating, partly because these characters were really well written and very distinctive, and the setting of this estate is just gorgeous. This film was not very dirty or sleazy. Not much. And we do see some man butt. So eventually in this film, like we meet some people, like we meet some neighbors, we meet some townspeople, meet some friends. So you get to know the community a little bit. And eventually, all of a sudden, this family gets freaking massacred. And this massacre is just awesomely done. The look of the killer is great, and the body movements and just the choreography, if you will, of this massacre was really cool. And that's where it changed. It changed from this like soap opera giallo, like Orgasmo, gaslighting type of giallo. It shifted into like a who is the killer giallo. And I really kind of like that it changed gears like that, because you get a little taste of the spectrum that giallo can offer. And I guess this is where I'll stop and say that this film doesn't appear on the Wikipedia list of Jolly, which is usually the list that I use as my guide. I think it has about 320 something films on it, and it wasn't on there, and I was surprised because when I was watching this film I was like, oh, this is a straight up giallo, right? Now it is Spanish, so that's probably why it's not on there, even though some like Spanish co-productions are on the list. Anyway, I think I would say this is just a giallo. Deal with it. Okay, when I was watching it, I didn't know it was Spanish, like I didn't know anything about it. I'm just blind watching it. And when I was watching it, I was like, it has some sort of an American flavor to it. I don't know. It felt American, like there was an American influence. But maybe it's just because it wasn't Italian. I just felt that otherness. So yes, after this massacre, now that we have met a few people in the town, we as the audience are left to wonder, like, who is the killer, you know? It was really fun trying to figure that out. And that's about all I'm gonna say, because I don't want to give away too much of this film and like what is going on between all of the characters, but this was a pleasant surprise. I have seen several Jolly, I mean, I'm probably, I don't know, like maybe I've seen like 140 of them or something. So it's always a joy when I find another hidden gem, like one that's just, that was a good one. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would own that. I would watch that again. It was just a cozy little watch, a fun place to be. And yeah, it was just very, very fascinating. I was like, what's going on with all these people? What's about to happen? The film does a great job of building up your interest. Now, it didn't explain everything, or maybe I'm just dumb, but there were some things that like, I feel like they weren't resolved. Maybe I have just been spoiled by the explanation dumps in some of these movies, but we didn't get one here. On Letterboxd, this film has a 3.4 out of 5 star rating, which is good. Like I said, with Scalpel, it was about the same rating for Scalpel, which you don't usually see them get up over a 3. In this film, I enjoyed how it kind of like lulled you into thinking like, oh, this is going to be a little psychological moment, and then it is punctuated with some really good violence and chilling moments. So I like that variety. So thank you so much, King of Doom, for requesting this. I quite enjoyed it. It's another one that has my stamp of approval. Hope I didn't forget to say anything, and I'll see you in the next review. I'm really trying to churn them out, so until then, ciao.